There are things a woman will say that quietly reveal everything, where the relationship is truly headed, and exactly how she feels about the man she is with. Most men walk right past these moments. They interpret her words generously. They tell themselves she's just venting, that she will soften, that if they hold on a little longer and give a little more, something will shift. They pour themselves into something that has already run dry, convinced that patience and effort can reverse what her words have already confirmed. But certain things a woman says should bring everything to a stop. When she speaks in these ways, she is not releasing pressure from a difficult day. She is showing you her actual position, the degree of respect she holds for you, and the limits of what she is genuinely willing to offer. If you stay after hearing those words, you are not being strong or devoted. You are walking yourself toward a painful ending that could have been avoided the moment she spoke. This is not about anger or settling scores. It is about protecting what matters most: your sense of self, your time, and your emotional health. Men get wounded in relationships, not always because a woman was deliberately unkind, but because they remained long after she made her true feelings unmistakably clear. A woman who genuinely respects you does not speak to you carelessly. A woman who genuinely cares does not wear you down over time, word by word. When that line gets crossed, the answer is not to argue, not to negotiate harder, and certainly not to beg. The answer is to go. What follows are 5 specific things a woman might say that function as immediate signals. Each one exposes something true about her emotional maturity, where her attention actually lives, and how she genuinely views what the two of you share. These are not slips made in the heat of the moment. They are not throwaway lines with no meaning behind them. When a woman says these things, there is truth inside them, and if you dismiss that truth, the regret that follows will be yours to carry. Some men believe that walking away signals failure, that leaving means they gave up too soon, but the reality is the exact opposite. A man who remains in a place where he is devalued is not demonstrating strength. He is demonstrating fear. The man who leaves without spectacle, without trying to prove a point, without attempting to change her mind, that man is showing something real. He is not raising his voice. He is not staging a confrontation. He is not making her justify his worth to her. His exit is the statement. It communicates clearly. He values himself more than he needs her approval. These 5 phrases are not minor. Taken together, they point to the same underlying truth. She does not value you. She has no vision of a future with you. She views herself as above you in the dynamic. She's keeping you around as a placeholder, or she has already departed emotionally while remaining physically present. Once any of these phrases enters the relationship, what you are witnessing is not a rough patch. It is the relationship completing itself. A woman who wants to hold on to you will guard what you share with the words she chooses. A woman who is finished will take it apart with those same words. Tolerating her disrespect will never earn her respect back. Removing yourself without hesitation, without debate, is how a man demonstrates his actual worth. The first phrase is, "I don't need you." When a woman looks at you and says this, she's not simply blowing off steam. She's giving you direct access to how she actually sees the relationship. Women do not say this to men they respect. They do not say it to men they genuinely value. They do not say it to men they want beside them when things get difficult. When she says it, she's telling you plainly that you are optional in her life, interchangeable, not irreplaceable, not someone whose presence carries real weight. A woman who is emotionally healthy can be independent without turning that independence into a weapon aimed at the man she is with. She can have her own ambitions, her own income, her own strong identity, and still recognize openly what having you in her life means to her. But when she throws that phrase at you like a declaration, she's not expressing confidence. She's telling you she has already written you off as unnecessary. She does not see you as her partner. She sees you as temporary, someone she could lose without losing anything that truly mattered to her. Many men respond to this by trying to salvage the moment. They make their case. They offer explanations. They redouble their effort and wait for her to come around. But once a woman communicates this way, she has already disconnected from the inside. You cannot reason your way back into value with someone who has decided you have none. The way a woman speaks to a man she respects is entirely different. Even in conflict, even when frustration is running high, she does not strike at the foundation of your importance to her. If she does, she is not trying to work through something. She is trying to draw blood. And a woman trying to wound you is not your partner. There is a hidden layer beneath that statement as well. When she tells you she does not need you, it also reflects her belief that she has other options waiting. A woman does not push away someone she is afraid of losing when she says that. The unspoken part is that she believes the power in this dynamic belongs to her. That imbalance is corrosive. The moment she places herself above you in that way, the relationship transforms entirely. She pulls back her effort. The small things stop registering. Nothing you do lands as meaningful. And if you stay after she says it, you teach her something dangerous, that you will accept being devalued without consequence. Once she absorbs that lesson, the disrespect does not level off. It grows. She begins making decisions that exclude you. She speaks to you differently. She treats you as a fallback option because your silence already confirmed you would tolerate it. Leaving in that moment is not an emotional reaction. It is simply a clear-headed decision to remove yourself from somewhere you hold no real value. If she wants to live without you, let her. If she wants to demonstrate she does not need you, trust her at her word. A man who knows his worth does not argue that point. When she says those words, he walks. The second phrase is, "You're too emotional." A woman does not always deliver this loudly in the middle of a heated exchange. Sometimes it comes out almost casually, barely more than an aside, in a tone that makes it easy to brush past. But what sits underneath it is far from casual. When she tells you that you are too emotional, she is not offering feedback on how you communicate. She is taking aim at your masculinity. She is framing your feelings as a deficiency. And once she frames you that way, her respect begins to dissolve. Men carry real weight, stress, disappointment, pressure, exhaustion. Giving voice to that is not weakness, it is honesty. But when a woman uses your emotional openness as something to hold against you, she is communicating something specific. She has no interest in your inner life. She does not see herself as someone who should be present for you when you need steadiness. She has positioned herself as your judge rather than your partner. A woman with real emotional maturity listens. She makes room for what you are carrying. She does not have to have all the answers, but she shows up. She does not turn your vulnerability into leverage. But a woman who responds to your honesty by calling it too much has placed herself above you. She wants access to your strength when it is useful to her, but she refuses to offer a safe place when you need one. She wants you to absorb everything silently, give her nothing difficult to sit with, and keep showing up as her source of security while she remains unwilling to be yours. And beyond that immediate wound, this phrase tells you something even more significant. She has no intention of being a safe space for you. A man who cannot trust his partner with his honest feelings is already carrying the relationship entirely on his own. Men go silent about what they are experiencing precisely because they fear this, being told that their feelings make them lesser. And once a woman attaches that label to you, she will reach for it again. In future disagreements, she will say you are overreacting. She will call you dramatic. She will tell you that you care too much. Each time she does, something between you quietly erodes. Eventually, you stop sharing. You close off, you go distant, and then without the slightest acknowledgement of what she built, she will turn around and call you cold. There is one final layer here. A woman only says this to a man she is not afraid of losing. If she valued you, she would choose her words with care. If she feared losing you, she would lean in when you opened up rather than pulling back to pass judgment. If your feelings mattered to her, she would treat them accordingly. And if she says something like this in front of other people, the damage operates on a different level entirely. That is not simply a lack of respect. That is using your vulnerability as social currency. A woman who does that cannot build anything real with you because she is willing to diminish you in order to feel powerful in the room. When a woman dismisses what you feel, you do not explain yourself. You do not defend your emotional reality to someone who has already made clear she has no interest in protecting it. You leave. Because a woman who loves you will never call your feelings a character flaw. The third phrase is, you deserve better than me. On the surface, this sounds almost tender. It sounds like humility, like she's being vulnerable, like maybe she's afraid of causing you pain and is simply struggling with her own sense of self-worth. But when a woman says you deserve better than her, what she's actually saying is that she has no intention of becoming what you need. This is her exit strategy packaged with plausible deniability. She is stepping back without taking on the identity of the one who walked away. She is telling you, without stating it plainly, that she will not put in more effort. She will not move toward deeper commitment. She will not grow, will not adjust, will not show up differently. Rather than owning the fact that she simply does not want to try, she wraps it in language that sounds selfless. But a woman who actually wants you does not gesture you towards someone else. A woman who values what you have together does not volunteer that another person would treat you better. A woman who is genuinely building something with you does not turn away from what that requires. This phrase also reveals how far along she already is in her thinking. She arrived at this conclusion long before this conversation. You are only hearing the closing remarks after she had already mentally packed and left. She had every opportunity to shift her attitude, to increase her effort, to show up differently, and she chose not to. Not because she lacked the ability, but because you are not the person who compels her to do it. Men often misread this moment entirely. She is not being generous. She is setting you up to accept the ending without pushing back. She is delivering a soft rejection dressed in the language of consideration. The real translation is straightforward. She wants to redirect her energy elsewhere. She wants out without carrying the blame for it. Or she knows she has not been showing up for you and she has no plans to start. Women do not distance themselves from men they are in love with. They distance themselves from men they have stopped valuing. And the worst thing a man can do in that moment is argue her out of it, to tell her she is wonderful, that he wants no one else. The moment he does, he diminishes himself. A man who knows his worth does not wait for a woman who has already told him she is not willing to be what he needs. He takes her at her word and leaves. If she says he deserves better, he proves it by going to find it. The fourth phrase is, I never asked you to do anything for me. This one lands differently from the rest. When a woman looks at you and says that, she is effectively deleting the record of everything you contributed. Your time, your energy, your consistency, the money spent, the patience shown, every moment you chose to show up when you did not have to. She reduces all of it to nothing. Women reach for this phrase only when they have already stopped placing any value on what you bring. It means your effort went unacknowledged. Your presence did not register as something she felt fortunate to have. Your sacrifices were absorbed without recognition. And now she's telling you directly that everything you gave was irrelevant. A woman who genuinely appreciates her partner does not need dramatic gestures to notice the effort. She sees the quiet things, the consistency, the check-ins, the ordinary ways you show up day after day. She recognizes that you are giving yourself, not just your actions. But when a woman deploys that phrase as a weapon, she is making plain that she carries no gratitude for any of it. She is also using it to sidestep accountability. Rather than sitting with the reality that she took you for granted, she rewrites the situation so that your giving becomes something she never invited and therefore something she owes you no acknowledgement for. It protects her from having to feel the weight of how she treated you. This phrase also exposes the category she placed you in. To her, your loyalty was automatic. Your attention was simply available. Your presence was something she assumed would always be there, not something she felt the need to appreciate or protect. And once a woman settles into that assumption, she stops behaving like she has something worth maintaining. At its core, what she is saying is this: she does not owe you respect in return. She does not owe you reciprocity. She does not owe you effort, because in her version of events, you chose freely to give, and she simply received. Men who do not recognize this dynamic often respond by giving more, believing that if they show up harder, the appreciation will eventually arrive. But the opposite unfolds. When a woman believes a man requires nothing in return, she gives nothing in return. The relationship tilts in one direction permanently. She only reaches for this phrase when she has already decided she is done. She is working to invalidate what you invested so she can detach fully without having to confront what her behavior actually was. When a woman who respects you is frustrated, she still acknowledges what you have given, even in conflict. But when she tells you she never asked for any of it, there is no partnership left to salvage. You do not stay. You do not recite everything you did, hoping she will finally see it. You step back and let her sit with the stillness that follows losing a man who genuinely cared. The fifth phrase is, maybe we should take a break. Most men hear this and assume it is temporary, that she is overwhelmed, that she needs room to breathe, that she will return with more clarity and more intention. But when a woman suggests a break, she is not looking for space to think. She is already moving toward the exit. This is the quiet version of ending things, the gradual fade that lets her disengage without being the one who ended it directly. Women do not take breaks from men they are deeply invested in. They take breaks from men they are no longer certain about, no longer excited by, or no longer planning to stay with. A break is how she samples life without you while holding on to the option of returning. If things outside do not unfold the way she imagined, she wants freedom without guilt. She wants emotional distance without the label of the one who walked away. She wants flexibility without being held to any standard of loyalty. Many men respond by agreeing to wait. They tell her to take all the time she needs. They hold on, certain she will return with more clarity. But while they are waiting, she is not sitting quietly with her thoughts. She is living. She is testing what life feels like outside the relationship. She is exploring whether the attention she stepped back from is still available. A break is not a strategy for rebuilding something. It is a trial run at being without you. A woman who wanted to fix things would stay and fix them. She would sit with the discomfort, communicate through it, and put energy back into what you built together. A break sidesteps all of that. She owes no explanation, no loyalty, no effort, and you are left in a state of suspension, wondering and waiting. And what typically happens when the break ends is that she returns not because she saw your value with fresh eyes, but because what she found outside disappointed her. If the attention she sought did not fill the space, if the excitement faded and left something hollow, then suddenly she remembers what she had. Not because she grew, but because her alternatives fell short. A man with genuine self-respect does not sit on a shelf waiting to be selected again. He does not agree to be paused like a background option. If a woman needs distance from you to determine whether you matter to her, she has already determined it. Because a woman who is certain about you does not go searching for certainty somewhere else. She builds with you where she stands. When she suggests a break, she is telling you her heart has already relocated. You do not negotiate. You do not offer to wait. You do not pitch yourself as worth returning to. You treat the break as the ending it is, and you close the chapter yourself clearly and without hesitation. When a woman speaks, she reveals the truth of how she sees you and where she is going, whether she intends to or not. Most men do not get hurt because they missed the signs. They get hurt because they chose to look past them. They stayed devoted to potential instead of responding to what was actually in front of them. They hoped her feelings would eventually catch up. They believed that loving her intensely enough would change the direction of things. But the truth is simple. When her words carry disrespect, emotional distance, or indifference, the right response is to leave. When she says she does not need you, she has already separated herself from you on the inside. When she tells you that you are too emotional, she is rejecting your vulnerability and everything it represents. When she says you deserve better, she is telling you she has already stopped trying. When she says she never asked you for any of it, she is erasing your contribution and walking away without guilt. When she suggests a break, she is rehearsing life without you. None of these are small comments. Each one is a clear signal. And once a woman begins speaking this way, the relationship has already changed in ways that staying cannot reverse. More effort will not undo it. Adjusting yourself will not undo it. Deepening your love will not undo it. She has already shown you where her heart is. There is genuine strength in walking away. A man protects his own dignity when he refuses to absorb ongoing emotional disrespect. No raised voices, no prolonged arguments, no attempts to prove what he is worth. He lets his silence carry the message because silence is what separates a man who respects himself from a man who is desperate to be chosen. Leaving does not make you cold. It makes you clear. You are stepping away from something that was taking from you rather than building you. And the moment you do, something shifts. Your value rises. You stop channeling energy towards someone who was not honoring it. You stop fighting for a place in someone's life when they were not fighting for a place in yours. You stop investing in something that had already begun closing. And in time, she will come to understand what she let go. Maybe not immediately, maybe not for a long while. But a man who is genuinely good is hard to replace. Loyalty is hard to replace. The kind of care that shows up consistently, that stays steady without being asked, that gives without requiring recognition, that does not come around easily again. But whether she ever realizes it or not, that is not what you are waiting around to find out. Your responsibility is to choose yourself. Your peace is worth protecting. Your future deserves your full attention. So if any of these words ever come from her, take them seriously. Believe her and have enough respect for yourself to walk. If this resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it.